So hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. And this is part 2 of calibrating your kiln. I don't know why she's laughing at me. Woo! But we used all of our knowledge from our previous tests in the last episode, and we came up with a plan to do an offset on the thermocouple, because that way we would be able to drop the heat down in the kiln by about 10 degrees from which is what we thought we should do. We weren't 100% sure on it, so we called up the Scott company. We were on hold for about 45 minutes, which was well worth the hold for the amount of information we got.
We were getting a little cocky waiting, but it was very well worth the wait.
So we found out, oh, it just got dark. We got off with the tech support at Scott, and he suggested that we do a cone offset, not a thermocouple offset, for the reasoning that if we offset the cone 10 degrees because it was firing a little hot, it would only affect that cone. If we did a thermocouple offset, it would affect every single firing.
So in layman's terms, it would only affect the cone 6. So if we wanted to fire to a cone 5, that's unaffected.
And there's a lot of other information that we'll probably post later. It's just, we learned so much from him.
It's a half an hour phone call, but boy was he knowledgeable and super helpful, so thank you, Scott.
So if you're ever on hold with Scott, well worth the wait, everybody.
Just stay on the line, yeah.
So the two things we're trying on here, after all of our tests and talking with the dudis,
the nice man from Scott.
with talking with the tech support, is we are doing an offset on cone 6 to drop it by 10 degrees since it's notorious a little bit hotter, according to him. Oh, he said, you know, cone 6 is notorious for overfiring, if I'm correct.
In these size kilns.
In a taller kiln, which is what I guess we have. Anywho, our other problem we asked him was, since we can't control every single level with the heat, since we have a segmented kiln, so it's like 3 sections. The bottom was cold, so he asked us how tall the things were.
The kiln posts,
So he told us that on the bottom, it's better to have a 5 or 6 inch post to help the heat radiate from the sides.
he said it would expose another 1 or 2 layers of elements.
So we're trying that. Since the bottom level was cooler, that's our way of getting it hotter, even though we are taking the whole kiln and dropping it 10 degrees, since the middle and the top were hotter. So that's our way of controlling all 3 sections, even though we only have 1 thermocouple. So that's where we are right now. She's gonna do a firing. So just like the last video, we'll probably see you in about 2 days when this is done to give you the final results.
The final results.
That's one result!
Hello?
My eyes are up here.
So Kara's gonna explain how she loaded the kiln for this next firing so we can get our test results.
Oh, loading the kiln, and it says this in the manuals as well, you're always supposed to stagger your shelves so that heat can get in between your layers a little bit easier along with the perimeter of the kiln. On one half of the kiln, I started off with a kiln shelf post that was 6 inches. And on the other half, I started off with one that was 5. I loaded it up with glazeware and my cone pack, and then I put the next layer of shelves on top. Every subsequent layer of shelving and glaze work and cone packs on top, I used 5-inch kiln posts. And then as soon as I had that all done, when you get to the top layer, the shelves are still staggered and everything is 5 inches apart.
But we made sure that the first shelf on the bottom had extra room because it was firing cooler.
And staggered, that's why one side is 6 and one side is 5.
Now you know, so we're trying that out. Let you know in 2 days, everybody. Bye.
Cross your fingers.
Look at those sexy numbers, everybody.
Oh my God.
That means it's time to open it up.
Oh, yes. So cool. There's a 5, there's a 6, and the 7 is barely bent.
Nice. Okay, so we are comparing right now. So Kara can explain.
That was our test run, and then this is just what's coming out of the kiln now. So the 5 is bent over all the way, like it should be. The 7 is just slightly bent, like it should be, and this is on the top shelf. So that's actually good. And the 6, I guess that's okay according to the nice guy from Scott.
And refresh our memory, what did he say?
Oh, he said that if you look at a clock face and if your cone is bent anywhere between like 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, that's okay.
So as that cone is bending, there's kind of an acceptable range because it's within a small temperature window. So if I get a cone that's bent somewhere around a 3 o'clock bend, the tip is clearly on its way, it's kind of bending over, it's got some good progress. If I get somewhere around a 3 o'clock bend to the tip just touching the shell, so slightly under fire to slightly over fire, I consider that acceptable because it's within about a 10 to maybe 12 degree temperature range.
Am I doing that backward? 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock?
No, it's good.
And I didn't know that. I thought it had to be like perfect 90 degrees to be perfect, but he said it's within the acceptable range. That's the top shelf.
And this one is nice.
Yeah, it's like 3 or a little under 3 o'clock.
And what we did is we assumed that since it was hot, we would go down about 8 degrees.
Right.
When we talked with the tech guy at Scott, he said 10 degrees.
So we were close.
We were close.
And we just went with his recommendation because I would think he would know well more than me.
And so far, the top shelf turned out perfect as far as temperature. Mm-hmm. So let's see how it turned out as far as the actual glaze.
I may see something I really like.
And why do you like that?
Because copper is so fussy.
Fussy as far as what?
Oh, instead of being nice and shiny, like brand new copper penny color, it's always dark and scaly and brown
And the dark, rough feeling is from what?
either crowded in the kiln or overfired, too hot, or both, from my knowledge.
And this copper turned out.
Yes, because it's antique copper, so it's supposed to have, oh, there's even reds. Oh my goodness.
It's your new baby boy.
And that was on the shelf closest to the thermocouple. Okay. Oh, weird. That turned out, oh, that's why. It's alabaster over fire brick, so that's why it's dull. It's supposed to be a satin matte finish. I'm like, why is it not shiny? That one turned out okay for what it's supposed to be.
It looks like it has a frosty head on it.
Yeah, it's a really red amber Bock beer.
Ooh, I don't drink beer, but that sounds okay.
It does. You married an Irish lady, so there you go.
Good job, Irish lady.
That's not bad.
But so far, our tricks to figure out the heating in the kiln are working.
Well, we'll see based off this next cone that I can kind of see.
And when we tested, the middle shelf was too hot.
Correct. So the 6 is bent. It probably would have bent better, but it landed on top of the 5.
How rude.
So I think it probably would have curved over. And the 7 is just bent. It looks a little bit more than the top shelf, but not bad. So I think that's probably close to a true cone 6 also.
Yes.
Probably within the, or allotted range.
I would agree. We are on the last level, and when we did the test firing, the last level was the coldest one.
There.
And it is now.
That is pretty on par.
Oh, that's pretty perfect.
That's like a perfect cone 6. Again, this laid on top of the 5.
Oh.
So
Oh.
that's a lot more consistent. And I'm looking a lot at the cone 7s, the guard cone.
Mm-hmm.
The middle one still is bent the most, but the top one looks very close to the bottom shelf now. That's better.
Yeah, because the top 2 shells were really hot. The bottom one was more, it was colder. So the bottom really didn't change too much, which is good.
Which is nice.
And the top 2 seem like we cooled them off. So more on this later, because we're hungry.
Yeah, starving.
We're gonna eat. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So we are checking out all the cones because we are doing another glaze firing. So what we've done so far is we did a test fire with the kiln empty. Then, since we had good results, we did a small glaze firing. And now we did a second glaze firing to see if we have consistent results.
And it's not tightly packed, but it's a little more plump.
So let's check out the plumper.
Yep. Ooh! Ooh, that went off the cookie onto the shelf. Oh my lord.
But how do the cones look?
Oh, sorry. They look, ooh, that's like a perfect. And then the guard cone, little bit more of a bend. So the 6 is more bent on this one, but that's within an acceptable range. That looks good though, because before our calibration, that was the guard cone.
So it looks like it was a little more hotter, probably because it was a little more plumper.
Correct.
So far, success.
Yeah.
Let's see how the glazes went.
But let's see. Yay. Perfect.
Looks good, yeah?
Yeah. I'm not sure. This one. That's no good. So that one I can't just pop.
So do you think
Oh,
that
sure.
happened because of over glazing or because...
I think maybe, yeah.
So too much frosting on the cupcake.
I think I frosted it too much. Yes. See, the guard cone shouldn't be bent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if we should take it down a few more degrees.
Well, we won't know until we check everything out.
Yeah. So it's getting hot again with more heat work. That's probably why stuff is running like crazy, because it's still too hot. Okay, it got too hot because see the copper now? But when it gets dull like that, that tells me it got too hot.
So the copper's a good barometer of heat.
You know what? From my experience, yes. I think we might take it down a few more degrees.
Like 5 degrees, so a total of negative 15.
4 or 5. Nope. Bottom one's not bad. So if we go and compare, yeah, he said that the Scut, our model, was notorious for firing hot on a cone 6 and that the middle was hot.
Was there more space in the middle shelves to
Yes.
expose more elements?
Yes, because that's where the copper was, because copper likes space. So yeah, the bottom and the top weren't bad, the middle got hot.
So in conclusion, we did 6 separate firings to try and figure out heat and how to control heat on the kiln. So here are our results.
The first 3, these were still all firings with glaze pieces in it, and I just wanted to see if I could tweak something with the limited knowledge that I had as far as making a cone 6 not fire so hot, because it's definitely going above the 2232 or so it's projected to be. So then I would try the cone 5, and then I went back to the middle and I tried a cone 5.5, which is about a 30 some degree difference, just to see if I could control the temperature, which I found out I could. The only thing about the cone 5.5 with a 10-minute hold, certain glazes don't like the hold. So then the next one we did was just a regular cone 6, the way the kiln is rated again, just in case maybe I screwed something up. And this was empty with just shelves to bounce the heat off of. So then the next firing we did this here was before the cone offset, where it was just supposedly a regular cone 6 but with nothing in it other than shelves. So then this next firing, this had a little bit of glaze wear in it, and this was after our cone offset of minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
And just as a reminder, what's a cone offset?
Oh, the cone offset is when you go into the touch screen on your kiln.
It's been a long day, everybody.
A little bit, yeah. You can go into advanced settings, and then I believe it's the second one down, it says offset. You could do a thermocouple offset or a cone offset. And according to the nice guy at Scut, he said do a cone offset for just a cone 6. And what that does is it will tell the kiln or trick the kiln into thinking that it's at a certain temperature, when in our case it's actually 10 degrees cooler. And then this was the latest firing. It was a more full kiln with just regular glazed pieces, and it was still using the cone 6 with the 10 degree offset, so cooler than 2232 degrees.
So it was the same parameter settings as the last one, we just had more pottery in it.
Correct.
And what did you find out?
I found out it was firing a bit hotter on especially the middle shelf, which the guy at Scut said isn't uncommon for this model of kiln. But I want to see if maybe we take it down no more than maybe 4 or 5 degrees and try another firing down the road. And instead of having it at a minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe we'll try a minus 14.
Yep, and that'll be a video for another time.
Yeah, we can do a little, just like a quick little follow-up.
So everybody, especially potters out there, I hope you learned how to try to control the heat in your kiln based on what we did for experiments on just figuring out heat, testing glazes, testing if it's fuller, all this stuff.
And if you have any questions for us, leave us a comment. We'll see if we can answer them or find somebody that can.
Yeah, and if you don't, then
How's Sammy Hagar
let's
say?
see. And if you don't leave a comment, hope you fall down and hurt your back.
No! Okay.
So we appreciate everybody watching this video. Hope it helped. That was the whole point of why we did this video. We want to thank our patrons because you help us out a lot and we really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Maybe next time we'll practice an outro, but we didn't.
No! Squish your head. Squish.
Gonna pull those freckles right off your face.
You know what?